Hello, this is D100 Superfan, back with another video. Thanks for tuning in. Today we'll be taking a deep dive and examining Table E, taking a real close look at the challenges and rewards offered by each entry, therefore each enemy on the encounters table. Having knowledge of both your enemies and the table they appear on can give the adventurer the ability to quickly and easily determine the threat posed and the chances of success when confronted with a combat encounter. Knowing when to stand your ground and when to escape can mean the difference between a long and short questing career. Taking a look at Table E, the Encounters table, we can see that each enemy has a corresponding entry on the table. It should be noted that some enemies can be found by rolling within a certain range of dice rolls, while some enemies can only be found by rolling their specific numbered entry on Table E. Each enemy is unique and offers different challenges to adventurers. This being said, there are certain blocks of entries on the encounter table of related enemies. For instance, entries 1 through 30 could be called the Vermin and Pest class of enemies, as those entries give encounters with giant rats, giant bats, giant ants, and giant spiders. When enemies belong to the same block of entries, they often have similar loot and/or abilities. For instance, these vermin enemies often come with the pack ability and always award rolls on the parts table, which is great for witchery. While the orcs found on entries 60 through 65 both offer enhanced armor and weapons table rolls. Goatmen all have 40 attack value and +1 damage, while all worm and dragon enemies have fear, large, and attacks 2. Knowing these commonalities and reward and enemy ability can help you be successful when encountering foes and seeking out specific loot. Let's get started with a complete look at the encounters table. Right away that we can see that entries 1 through 30 result in small vermin and pest class enemies. These small monsters can be found in a rather large range even at a +0 encounter modifier. Many results on the D100 roll will end up with one of these pests, so you'll run into them often even in the mid-level quests. Entry 1 through 10 is giant rats. Likely to be one of an adventurer's first enemy encounters, there is nothing too threatening here. Giant rats do have the disease ability, so if they may be able to take a few hit points from an adventurer over time, if not outright through combat. Entry 11 through 20 is giant bat. These enemies are annoying with their surprise and fly abilities, giving them a chance at a free attack when encountered, but their low attack value and pitiful -3 damage modifier, they are hardly a threat. Entry 21-25 is giant ants. These enemies are the tankiest of the vermin and pest class of enemies. They have decent defense and good HP for their class. Their attack value is low, but their defense and hit points helps their pack ability be more effective. Entry 26-30 is Giant Spider. Good defense, but low hit points. The web ability is not too difficult to deal with. Giant spiders can sometimes be found hiding in barrels on the geographic table. Entries 31 through 55 are the small to medium humanoid class of enemies. These enemies share common loot in the form of armor, items, and weapon rolls, perfect for gearing up, and they often have the pack ability. There is also an entry for a bear in that range to keep things interesting. Entries 31 through 42 are the goblin class of enemies. These weak humanoids are seldom found alone, so they make use of the pack ability. They have moderately good loot in the form of weapons, items, and armor. Low stats all around define the goblin enemies. Entry 42 specifically is a Goblin Warlock, and it's a bit interesting. Goblin Warlocks are the first enemies on the table with the dark magic ability. Dark magic can often completely swing the momentum of a fight to the monster's advantage, but the Goblin Warlock's low stats make its dark magic less of a threat. Something to note is that the Goblin Warlock has a treasure roll on its loot table. Defeating a Goblin Warlock is not too tough and may just reward you with a quest objective or something else nice from table treasure A. Entry 43-44, Bear. A lone bear can be a bit of a challenge for a beginning adventurer. Bears have middle-of-the-road stats and decent hit points. Their damage is +0, so they can sometimes land a solid blow, and the fight can drag on if your damage output is not up to snuff or if you have yet to acquire a decent weapon. Entries 45 through 47 are the elusive Ratmen. Seldom encountered, these skittish little humanoids are similar to goblins in the way they fight, though Ratmen also carry disease. They drop decent loot in the form of A, I, and W rolls like most humanoids. Entry 4852 are the Goatman enemies. These medium humanoids have middle-of-the-road stats. There's nothing too tricky to deal with here, though these humanoids are tougher than goblins or ratmen. Entry 52 is for Goatman Priest and is a tougher version of a Goblin Warlock. The Goatman Priest has a respectable 15 hit points, so expect to deal with the enemy's dark magic over multiple combat rounds. The bright side is there is a Treasure A roll-up for grabs, so get to slaying. Entry 53-55 are the dreaded zombies, the first undead enemies on the list. They have low baseline stats, including defense, but their high hit points and pack ability work well together to ensure a damaging, protracted fight. The disease ability is one of the worst aspects of a fight with zombies, ensuring damage later when the disease takes hold. Possibly the worst thing about fighting zombies is they don't drop any loot, so your only reward for a battle with zombies is the taste of healing and disease-curing potions after the fight and a line filled out on your combat log. Could be worth it, but it might be best to let them escape if they start to wander away. Entries 56 through 59 are Tricksters and Imps, the first demon enemies on the encounter table. Tricksters come in swinging with surprise and keep up the assault every round with dark magic. Their pack ability really helps them, so take out 2 of the 3 Tricksters as quickly as possible. As a matter of fact, take them all out as quickly as possible. Entry 58-59 are Imps. Imps are quite a bit tougher than Tricksters with much higher hit points, higher damage, and they make stronger use of their pack ability. Imps do trade the dark magic ability for fire, which can at least be avoided with a successful check, but is still a constant threat of additional damage throughout the fight. Entry 60 through 65 are the Orcs. These moderately large humanoids have decent stats, but with no pack and none of the trickier abilities, these enemies are either a threat to you at face value or they're not. They may even be a treat for you with their enhanced weapons and armor rolls. Entries 66 through 70 can be thought of as the large pest class, but to their credit, each monster in the range has personality and is uniquely challenging. Entry 66, Spider Queen. The Spider Queen is a vicious and cunning foe with surprise, poison, and web working together. Spider Queens can have devastating effect in the first few rounds of combat. There is a particularly powerful Spider Queen found in Quest 4950 on Table Q. Entry 67 is Skeleton Spiders. These undead skeleton spiders are tough. With 4 defense, regenerate, and resurrection, a skeleton spider has a lot of staying power and really maximizes his 15 hit points. They offer a very strong test of an adventurer's damage output, but with only a roll on table P1 as a reward, is it worth fighting? Entry 68 is the Giant Vampire Bat. These undead giant vampire bats are very tough to fight in melee due to their fly and phase abilities working together so well. A few well-placed fireballs can get around the giant vampire's tricky defenses. Entry 6970 is Giant Apes. The Giant Apes make strong use of their pack ability with deep pools of hit points and always offer a stand-up, drag-out kind of fight. At this point in the encounter table, enemies start to drop very good loot. Eventually, as your power grows, you will look forward to these foes and their enhanced loot rolls. Entry 71 is Zombie Master. Zombie Masters do not have much in the way of offense or defense, so their 16 hit points can be quickly depleted by even a modestly equipped adventurer. Their disease ability can be a hindrance, though. Zombie Masters offer great loot with a +10 Treasure A roll. From here on out, this is where things get interesting and fear becomes a factor. Having bravery trained will help you with the fearsome foes that lie ahead on the encounter table, such as, for instance, entry 72, the Skeleton. The Skeleton has solid stats both offensively and defensively, and though they only have 13 hit points, Regenerate and Resurrection work to keep the Skeleton in the fight, while its Fear ability works to keep the adventurer in check. Good loot in the form of plus 15 armor or weapon rolls awaits those victorious over the Skeleton. Entry 73, the Giant Snake. Giant snakes are formidable, with solid stats and the poison ability always threatening further damage. They are interesting in that they offer gold pieces directly as a reward. Entry 74, the Orc Champion. An Orc Champion stands tall with very strong defense at 5 defense value and 16 hit points. Get ready to chop wood and have the wood chopped back. Good loot with plus 15 armor and weapon rolls, and also offers an items roll. From here on out, it is recommended that the adventurer has a few points of defense, as the enemy's damage really starts ramping up with stronger stats and abilities. Entry 75, the Ghoul. Ghouls have strong stats, and this undead keeps an adventurer's damage output locked down with its phase and fear abilities. High int characters will be better able to manage the fear ability, and damaging spells can get around phase. Entry 76 is the Wight. Wights have even more defense and hit points than a ghoul, and fly and fear make it tough for melee-oriented characters. Wights have great loot with a plus 15 treasure A roll, but their resurrection ability may give you a hard time in the attempt. Entry 77 is the Orc Warlock. Orc Warlocks have strong stats in every category, and their combat prowess is further enhanced every turn by their dark magic. Due to the way the Orc Warlock's stats are laid out, any of the dark magic effects are a major threat. Great loot, though, with a treasure A plus 15 roll. Entry 78, the Demon. Demons offer a very challenging and thematic fight with their searing fire ability and powerful stats. Enough said. Entry 79, Ghost. Ghosts are a major threat with their death touch ability, negating even the toughest defenses. This combined with their fear ability and ethereal ability make them tough to take down. They offer great loot, but quickly drain an adventurer's hit points through death touch. So if you do not have a way to get past ethereal, make a hasty escape. A very risky option if you must proceed but have no way of dealing with ethereal is to just try to endure the ghost's death touch enhanced attacks until the enemy decides to escape on its own. This is not advised, as it will quickly eat through your hit points and potentially burn through multiple lives. Entry 80, the Vampire. These powerful undead have all the tools they need to take out an adventurer. Strong stats in every field, dark magic making good use of those stats, fly and phase making it hard to hit the vampire in physical combat, and the resurrection ability bringing them back to unlife. Great loot, though. Imagine plucking a legendary necklace from a fallen vampire's plus 15 treasure A roll. Epic. Entry 81, Wraith. Treat these enemies like a pumped-up ghost, and the same cautions apply. Beware of death touch, ethereal, and fear, and be ready to escape. Great loot with a treasure B roll if you can manage to take one out, but honestly, it's tough. Entry 82, the Necromancer. This powerful enemy caster enhances all of its combat actions with dark magic and has mastered the regenerate and resurrection abilities in their pursuit of power. Prepare for a very taxing fight, as you are essentially fighting a living lich. Entry 83 is the Demon Lord. An intimidating and imposing foe, a Demon Lord has a suite of abilities that include fire, large, fear, and fly that really menace and demoralize the adventurer. Your only chance is to go all out with damage before the Demon Lord has a chance to take you out. Entries 84 through 87 include the Bruiser class of enemies. Ogres, minotaurs, giants, and trolls. These fearsome foes have all the abilities they need to grind an adventurer to paste and still keep coming with powerful offensive abilities and mighty defenses. The fear really starts to set in, so having bravery trained for these fights is essential. Each of these bruiser enemies have their own personality, but they all share fear and large. Large allowing them to consistently land powerful blows, and fear preventing any meaningful offense from being mounted. The giant has stun, further allowing them to incapacitate the adventurer, while the troll has regenerate, as is fitting, to keep them upright and in the fight for a monstrously long time. If an adventurer is able to take one down, great loot awaits in the form of enhanced treasure B rolls. Entry 88-89 are a pair of the most powerful humanoid casters, enemies that have managed to master their use of dark magic to gain mastery over life and death itself. The evil warlock enhances its abilities every turn through dark magic, doing more damage, taking less damage, and even absorbing the adventurer's hit points into their own. The Lich Lord is what all the most evil dark magic users strive to become. Nearly invincible and hard to keep down, with dark magic, regenerate, and resurrection, you are in for a terrible fight, with life and death on the line. Also, incredible loot is on the line, in the form of a plus 15 treasure B roll. Entry 90, the Gargoyle. The Gargoyle stands alone as the supreme test of an adventurer's physical combat prowess. Impenetrable defense and hit points, big damage, and a pair of abilities, fear and stun, which can absolutely dominate even a veteran adventurer. Gargoyles are truly worthy foes. Entries 91 through 100. From here on out, there be dragons and worms. All bets are off, as any of these powerful dragon-type enemies can shred through an adventurer's defenses, hit points, and lives. They all share some common abilities, with true dragons all kind of having their own signature ability and personalities. Entry 91, the Worm. A worm is a serpent-like wingless dragon and a fearsome foe. With fear, attacks 2, and large, the worm can really lay into an adventurer. Bravery is a must, and a shield and a stout defense value helps with the combined attacks 2 and large assault. Entry 92-93 is Fireworm and Frostworm. Similar to the worm in most respects, these more powerful subspecies really bring the heat and cold with their fire and freeze abilities. Dodge works well to get around these two abilities, but with such high base stats, good luck with the rest of the fight. And now we come to the most iconic and dangerous monsters to fight in D100 Dungeon, the True Dragons. All of these monsters have Fly, Fear, Attacks 2, and Large. All but the White Dragon have a signature ability to correspond to the dragon's chromatic speciation. I guess the White Dragon left that space blank on its encounter table application form. Thank goodness. A fight with a dragon is no laughing matter, though, as these signature abilities really add to the flavor and tension of the fight, and each particular dragon's personality really shines through their signature ability. As mentioned, each of the dragons has Fly, Fear, Attacks 2, and Large. You must be equipped and prepared to deal with these abilities, otherwise the dragons will roll right over you. A shield helps with Attacks 2 and Large, Bravery and good int helps with Fear, and you have to be clever or you will be hindered in combat by their Fly ability, causing you to land less hits and do less damage throughout the fight. Here are all the Chromatic Dragon's signature abilities. The White Dragon has no signature ability beyond what's common to all the other dragons, so I guess their signature ability is that they have no signature ability. Green dragons are the living embodiment of poison, and with as powerful as a green dragon is, you can rest assured that you will have poison applied to you many times over during the course of the fight. You must have a way of dealing with this, either after combat through escape, or if you're victorious, you're going to be poisoned and it will be a problem. Red dragons have the fire ability and will absolutely nuke the adventurer from orbit every turn with its combined fire, fly, fear, attacks 2, and large abilities. A very offense-oriented dragon. Look out. Blue dragons have the freeze ability, which really works to soften up an adventurer and amplify the blue dragon's fearsome assault. You really feel like you're fighting on their turf and on their terms when fighting a blue dragon. Black dragons have the dark magic ability. Black dragons may be the most powerful foe in the game, as their dark magic is the most powerful of any enemy caster, and combined with their other stats and abilities, they are nearly invincible and titanically powerful. Beware the black dragon. Skeleton dragons are a nightmare with ethereal, but if you are actively seeking out dragons, you should have some way of handling it. But their powerful stats mean a powerful weapon will not be enough. You will need other enhancements and powerful defense as well. Good luck with the ultimate undead dragon. And now we have the most powerful foe on the list, the mighty Golden Dragon. Offering the height of challenge to any adventurer, these golden dragons have all the common true dragon abilities, but have extra damage and control potential with fire and stun. These are the ultimate foe and can single-handedly end an adventurer's career. They are also frighteningly common, as their lofty position on the encounter table ensures that you will run into many golden dragons with quests with higher encounter modifiers. If you are not prepared specifically to deal with dragons, run as fast as you can. Stat and ability wise, in a fight against a red dragon and a golden dragon wins easily. Are you more powerful than a red dragon? All the dragon type enemies offer great loot in the form of treasure sea rolls, so to the victor go the spoils, but victory against these foes is hard won every time. Good luck. Woo, we covered a lot of ground so far, burned a lot of torches. Let's take a breath. Whew. Okay, continuing on. Take heart as well, adventurers. As your combat prowess grows, as you encounter these foes and take them out, you will be gaining experience against those particular foes. Those specific foes that you take down repeatedly, you will gain bonuses through the experience system. If you've kept track of your experience logs, your combat logs, you can go ahead and start applying your experience anytime for boosts and bonuses against those particular foes, and they are very helpful. For instance, often many of the dragons, if you can get experience, you will be doing more damage to the dragons. You will be avoiding their abilities, things like that, and that's common with all the other enemies as well. Some enemies are more likely to escape. Some enemies are less likely to escape after you know how to fight them and have got some experience taking them out. So take heart and know that you will get better at fighting these foes. No challenge in this game is insurmountable given proper preparation and experience and time to develop your character. The combat experience system can be unlocked once you have access to the content in the Lost Tome of Extraordinary Rules. Highly recommended for that and all the other things included in that Lost Tome of Extraordinary Rules. Of course, included in the Adventurer's Companion for use with the Campaign 1, also included in the Adventurer's Companion, as well as your standard D100 dungeon games. Did you know that there's an entirely different encounter table EA, an alternate encounter table offering you an entirely different set of challenges, starting with their low enemies and their strong enemies as well. Take a look at some of the mythic monsters included on table EA on the high end of things, and know that these end game challenges are different, completely different than the end game challenges presented in the base game of D100. So it really is awesome when you're able to add this content and go have your choice of either core game enemies or expansion enemies with this alternate encounter table. Highly recommended. Awesome stuff. In conclusion, I just want to say, whether you're a veteran adventurer or you somehow stumbled into this video and having never played D100 Dungeon before and you're confused but excited at the same time, know that the tables presented in the game, and in particular the encounter table, as demonstrated, these are well-designed tables. Mr. Martinite has put a lot of care and a lot of thought into not just the content of the tables, but the structure of the tables as well. And I really appreciate it. I've had some light correspondence with Mr. Knight, and you immediately get the impression that he cares a lot about his product and the integrity of his product. He wouldn't put out anything that was not well designed. Everything he's put out so far I've greatly enjoyed, and I highly recommend all of it. I hope to cover all of it in more videos in the future. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching this lengthy video. Thanks for hanging in there. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you, Mr. Martinite, for this well thought out, very well designed game. And I can't wait for the next book coming at the end of the year, hopefully before the end of the year. The Dragon's Return. I can't wait. Very exciting. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video.